And remember, your grade on the homework is what I'm gonna count on your grade. And I may have said this before, but you should treat the homework as if it were an open book exam. All right, you can't have an open book exam in class, but use your book on the homework. All right, if you're not making an A on the homework, you ain't doing it right. You're not trying hard enough. And so, remember, the homework counts the same as an exam grade, so you might as well make an A on it. Right? And, you know, strangely, if you do well on the homework, you're probably going to do better on the exam. Imagine that. You know, when I go through and look at the grades at the end of the semester, and I see someone that has, you know, 35 on the homework, then I'm pretty sure the exams are probably in the 50s, maybe 60s. All right, so, all right, anything else? Just do the damn homework. I know it's not fun. They don't pay me to have it. So, last time we talked about verbs, right? This looks familiar? Yes? Somebody say yes? It does? Okay, good. And, remember also that we had the ceteris paribus assumption, which says that all else is unchanged. And, you know, you might say, well, that isn't very realistic. And I get that. So, what we're doing is we're basically, this is essentially a snapshot in time that freezes everything else about the world, but this line shows people's tendencies and how their buying behavior would behave or would change if the price changed. Right? Are we good on that? Okay, you're kind of looking at me like, I don't know about this. Okay? Okay. You just always look that way.
Yeah,
okay. I always look like this, unfortunately. So, are we okay with that idea? That everything else about the world is kind of frozen in time? And so what that means is that if the quantity demanded changes, there's only one thing that could have caused it, and that's the change in the price. And so today, what we're going to do is relax that assumption. Okay? So, my question to you is, what would happen to the demand for peanut butter if it were discovered that eating peanut butter cures cancer? That would be cool. What would happen to the demand for peanut butter? It would go up, he says. Right? Is that right? Is it? No, that's wrong. Well, tell me why you said it would go up.
Because it wouldn't be desired just in the food industry, it'd be desired in the medical industry as well. So it'd have a foothold in two different industries.
Okay, that I like, but the reason I say you're wrong is because you said the word up. Okay, so I want us, from the start, not to say that demand goes up. And here's why. If you say that that is an increase in demand, then you've got the demand curve in the right spot, but you did it in the wrong way. And so I'll maybe count off half. The problem is, I'm sorry, good grief. If you do that, right, that's the demand curve. If you do that, you've got the new demand curve in the right place, but you did it the wrong way. But when we start talking about the supply curve, if you do that and call that an increase in supply, it is 100% wrong. Okay? So I want us from the beginning, like now, instead of saying up and down, say increase or decrease, or shift to the left, or shift to the right. Okay? So don't let yourself, ease into the habit, and say, oh, I get it. The demand went up. And then when you get over here and you say, well, the supply went up, then you're wrong. Okay? So let's talk about why that is. And let's think about yesterday versus today. Yesterday, we didn't know about this new discovery, right? We only learned about it today. So our demand curve tells us that yesterday, when we were unaware of peanut butter's curative properties, then people would be ready, willing, and able to buy 60,000 jars of $8 peanut butter. Right? So, now that they've learned that peanut butter cures cancer, don't you think that people would buy more than 60,000 jars of $8 peanut butter? Right? Or, given this discovery, people would buy more jars of $10 peanut butter. Or for any other price. And so when we can say then that if it's discovered that eating peanut butter cures cancer, then the demand curve would shift to the right. Because what's happening is that now, whatever the price of peanut butter might actually be in the market, since we've discovered that it cures cancer, we would want to buy more of it at that price. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Can you explain it better than I can? Okay, just check. All right. Are we good? So we want to say right or left, where a rightward shift is an increase and a leftward shift is a decrease. So if something negative happens, then the demand curve would shift to the left, because at any possible price, people would want to buy less peanut butter. All right? So, let's make a list of the things that can shift the demand curve. And the first is changes in consumer tastes and preferences. Which is what we just said. If if it's discovered in eating peanut butter cures cancer, and you like peanut butter, then you might say, oh, cool, this is a good reason for me to eat more of it. Or if you don't really like it that much, then, well, I guess I need to eat a spoonful every day, right? Because it's good medicine. So, this discovery changed our attitudes about peanut butter. Right? Does that make sense? And by the way, this is when we hear that Nike or some shoe company has signed some athlete to endorse a line of shoes, this is exactly what they're hoping to accomplish. They're hoping to change the way we think about their product. And you may or may not recall, but one of the premier, first really premier athletes to big time endorse products was Michael Jordan. And I think the first product that he endorsed was Gatorade. And their slogan was, "Be like Mike." Oh man, Michael Jordan is cool. He's rich. He's famous. And if I drink Gatorade, I can be like Mike? Wow. Right? It sounds silly, but that's what they're trying to plant in your head, or in our heads. So, again, when they get these endorsements or when they advertise, they're trying to give you new information about the product that will change the way you think about it. Okay? The second thing that can shift the demand curve is changes in the number of potential buyers. If there are more potential buyers, then we expect the demand curve to increase. As you may know, there are a lot of people that are migrating from the Midwest and the Northeast to Florida, so we would expect that the demand for housing in Florida is increasing or shifting to the right. Right, just because there are more people. The next thing that we can say is changes in buyer incomes. And here we have to be a little careful because there are two types of goods that are affected by people's incomes. And the first is one that we call a normal good. And the vast majority of the products that we buy or see in the store are normal goods. And our definition of a normal good is that if incomes go up, then the demand for those goods goes up as well. So if incomes go up, then the demand for a normal good would go up as well. And the idea here is that, well, if people have greater incomes, if they're richer, they can afford to buy more peanut butter, and so some of them probably will. Right? So if incomes go up, then the demand for most goods goes up as well. But there are also goods we call inferior goods. And with inferior goods, when incomes go up, then the demand for those goods decreases. And inferior goods are really pretty rare. And in fact, the only one that, you know, we really see in the textbooks very much is ramen noodles. And the story or the explanation behind that is that it's often the case that people who have low incomes and can't afford much food eat a lot of ramen noodles because it's a really cheap meal. Right? And if you're one of those people and you're eating ramen noodles 5 or 6 nights a week, and then your family's income goes up, you might find yourself saying, I can afford not to eat ramen noodles, so I'm never going to eat them again. Right? So with inferior goods, then when people's income goes up, then the demand for those goods goes down. Okay, we good? And then we can say the next one is changes in prices of other goods. And here again, we have 2 categories we can talk about. And the first is complements. And so with a complement, if the price of jelly goes up, what do you think happens to the demand for peanut butter? If the price of jelly goes up. What do you think? If the price of jelly goes up, the demand for peanut butter goes up. Well, make up your mind. Okay, I like that answer better. Explain it to me.
I don't know. You said the other one wasn't right.
Huh?
You said the other answer wasn't right.
Okay. Anybody want? Why is it that if the price of jelly goes up, the demand for peanut butter goes down? What do you think? Pretty straightforward. What do you think?
I mean, because peanut butter and jelly go hand in hand.
Okay.
So if half of it is more expensive, then there's no point in getting like the lesser version.
Yeah. Right? If the price of jelly goes up, then the cost of making a sandwich goes up, and so people make fewer sandwiches, and therefore they need less peanut butter. Right? That's what you were going to say, right?
Mhm.
If I'd only given you more time. Right. Good. Okay, you get that? So with a complement, if the price of one good goes up, then the demand for its complement goes down. And so we can say if the price of good Y increases, then the demand for good X decreases. Okay? And we can also talk about substitutes. And my favorite example of substitutes is Hondas and Toyotas. I would argue they're pretty darn similar. And so if you accept that premise, then I would say that if Honda jacks up their prices, then a lot of people who were thinking about perhaps buying a Honda would leave the Honda market and become Toyota shoppers. So with substitutes, if the price of one goes up, then the demand for the other goes up. So we say if the price of Y increases, increases, then the demand for X increases as well. And so if you find yourself on the exam, waving your fingers around like this, then I'm okay. That's probably a good thing. Right? I think this is all very logical. And I hope you will too. If you don't, just memorize it. Right? Now there's one other that we won't write up here, but we do see it in textbooks sometimes. And so I will ask you this. If you hear that there's a hurricane coming, what do?
Gas.
You buy gas, right? What if you already have 3/4 of a tank?
Still.
You still buy gas, right? I mean, you had enough in your car to get you to Montgomery or Birmingham, where, you can get more gas, but no. I mean, that's what we do, right? We go buy gas. Even perhaps if we are not planning to leave town. And if you think about it, in effect, what you're doing is you are moving or you are shifting your demand for gasoline from, Sunday or Monday to today. Right? And so if a lot of people are doing that, then we get the situation where we have more people that are trying to buy it. Right? And so rational people are thinking in those situations, not just what is the price today, but what might it be, 2 days from now when, if I don't buy it today, I'm really gonna need it. Right? So sometimes we do see that. All right, are we good with this? Good so far? Questions about anything? Now, if you look at this list, I hope you'll see that everything on this list that shifts the demand curve, in a sense, changes the way people think about a product. I mean, if you graduate from school and you get, say $150,000 job, and which is good money, then you might say, I really wasn't thinking about buying a BMW until I got this job. But now, it might be in the realm of possibilities. So when our incomes go up, we sort of have different interests in products. Or if the price of a compliment changes, then, okay, yeah, we might think differently about products. All of these things affect the way people think about a product. Okay? And I know that a lot of people are what I call list learners. You like to make a list of words or a list of formulas or whatever, go down the list, make flashcards, whatever. And if you're one of those people, there's your list. And in fact, one of the textbooks, the last textbook we had, it had all these things in it, but they were in paragraphs. But a previous book just had a list. And so I'm going to try to post that list from the previous book. So you'll have an actual list. Just memorize it. Or what we'll see when we talk about the supply curve is that all the things that shift the supply curve are things that change the cost of making the product. So the demand things that shift the demand curve are things that change the way people think about the product, and the things that shift the supply curve are things that change the cost of making the product. All right? I mean, it's kind of a down and dirty way to divide one from the other. And I have tried, but I cannot think of anything that might shift both. It's one or the other. Okay? So, first of all, I'm telling you, memorize the list. And short of that, I'm telling you, just remember that everything on this list changes the way people think about the product. Okay? Questions about that? No? No questions? So it's all clear as mud, right? Well, in that case, I am done. I'll see you tomorrow.